Hi everyone, in this video I want to go into the bigger picture of mental health. I want to talk a little bit about where it all started, why people get depressed, why people get anxious, why there's so much conflict in the world, why people's egos get fear and then create war, etc. And it all starts with one thing, the creation of duality. When you reach levels of non-duality, you start to realize the exact stem and seed for everything that's going on around you, and you start to gain a little bit more control over your mental health, and then eventually you'll kind of clear all mental traumas within you because you'll realize why it happened and the reason why it happened, etc. And you'll be able to kind of live this amazing kind of life that's clear of everything, and you just enjoy doing what you do. So it all starts with the creation of duality. What I mean by this is what we're told at school, etc., is not necessarily true. Okay, when we go to school or when we're children, our parents teach us things, and one of these things our parents teach us is the what's right or wrong. Now, this is the seed for all mental health. Once you think you know what's right and wrong, it then sets up the foundation for your whole life of being caught in this wave of positive and negative. And what most people in the world still don't realize is that there is no right or wrong. Okay, everything just is, and that's why everything in the world is the way it is at the moment, and that's why you suffer from mental health. That's why anybody suffers from mental health, because they're stuck in this positive and negative wave. When something goes wrong, they have that trauma in them, and then because of that trauma, because they think it's bad, then they carry that trauma as an energy inside themselves, and then only when you start to realize non-duality, you can start to clear those traumas and come back to the center point, which is pure love. Okay, that's what I want to get into a little bit, guys, because Jesus, the way Jesus used to teach, okay, was very, very loving. Okay, Jesus was a real person. I don't believe he did all these miracles, etc. I think that was just over exaggerated, and the Bible was rewritten so many times. But one thing I do know about Jesus is that everything he said was true, but it was metaphorical. And a lot of these Christians who I speak to on the street, who are preaching, etc., kind of take everything Jesus says as literal, and I'm trying to explain to them how it was all metaphorical, and then I'll give them the evidence to back that up, but it kind of goes in one ear and out the other. So they think there's this heaven and hell, and they think Jesus will save them for all the sins, whereas in reality, every sin that you act out, okay, karma will come and resolve that for you. Okay, so every single sin that you do as a child or throughout your teens, whatever, or even now, if you're still committing sins now, and you know if you're committing sins, okay, everybody knows what sin is and what love is, because love is love, which is everything, and sin is based on fear, and there only is love and fear in the world. So what Jesus taught was very metaphorical, and he said he kind of led to the Adam and the apple analogy, which is a metaphor for the creation of good and bad. So when Adam ate the poisonous apple from the tree, I don't know the full story, guys, but all I know is it's a metaphor for positive and negative, because when Adam ate that poison apple, he then created that negative, and that negative then created a positive, so it brought the duality aspect into everything. And then from that point, everybody realized there was a positive and negative. This is where heaven and hell was created, because heaven and hell is actually a metaphor for the positive and negative. It's the two ends of the charge, and this is what ultimately leads to every single mental health condition in the world. Every single war that happens is all because of this duality way of thinking, where people think something's positive and something's negative. But in reality, guys, there is no positive or negative. Okay, in reality, there just is. Everything that happens doesn't have to be positive or negative. or it can even be both positive and negative, depending on the way you want to think about it. So for instance, if somebody, say, walks down the street and drops a litter right in front of you, a lot of people will get a little bit angry at this and say, well, that's horrible, he shouldn't be dropping litter. But in reality, that's a choice, and that choice is based on what you've been taught in the past. So for instance, you could think that, well, he's dropped that litter looks really pretty on the ground. You see, you've got the option to change the way you think about anything based on your own internal spiritual laws, okay, rather than the laws you've been taught as a child, and societal conditioning, all these things that have created all this positive and negative, which is why everyone's depressed and arguing and anxious and everything, and it's the ultimate cause of all mental health conditions. So you have the choice to change that by realizing it. Okay, this is why I'm making this video, just to kind of point this out to you guys, because this is the ultimate way of kind of healing all your mental health trauma and becoming a very much happier person, etc., etc. Now, another example would be regarding the positive and negative. Let's say, sorry, not regarding positive and negative. What I mean is, what I'm trying to say here is the spiritual law, which is just love. Okay, once you realize your own spiritual law, you don't need any societal laws anymore, because you've got that law of love in you, which is the only law. It's the only way, because love is everything. Love is survival. Love is all there is. All the other negative laws, or the other laws that create the duality, disappear. I'll give a quick example of this. So let's say you're driving past a school and there's a 20-mile-an-hour limit in the school. Okay, you know within your spiritual self that if you drive 20 mile an hour when the children are all coming out of school, you know that that's very dangerous and you wouldn't do it. Okay, you'd literally drive 2 miles an hour so slow. So that's an example of spiritual law versus actual societal laws. But when you really go into this, all societal laws are not necessary when you have a spiritual law and you realize love from a non-dualistic aspect. So the way to really kind of get over all your mental health traumas and everything is to be really realistic with yourself. Realize why they happened. They probably happened during a time when you're in a dualistic way of thinking, and really go back and replay them all in your head. Realize from everyone's point of view, everyone's aspect. Realize what you did wrong as well, because a lot of it was you. Okay, you have to remember a lot of your mental health conditions stem from your decisions with things. So don't always think you're right, because sometimes you are wrong. And you've got to be very honest with yourself, and if you are wrong, you need to forgive yourself for it, because if you don't forgive yourself for it, you still hold this charge of energy inside you that prevents you from going into new avenues, you see, to seeing new things and living life to your fullest. So there's always this charge in us, like an energy charge of negativity, of trauma, based on our past experiences, because we've been in a dualistic state of mind. And it's only when you release that trauma and you release that charge that you can then use the free energy to go into new avenues of awareness and really, really start enjoying life. Clear from all these traumatic societal good and bad concepts and all this, because there only ever is one, and everything that happens for a specific reason. Okay, whatever you think's good or bad isn't either. Okay, and if you really investigate this, guys, if you think something bad happens to you, just wait a year, 2 years, and you'll realize what happened to you was actually a good thing. Realize that everything that happens, whether you think it's good or bad, is both. Okay, it's both and it's neither, which is a paradox, which I'll get to in a moment. But don't think of it as just a bad thing. Okay, because everything that happens for a specific reason, for your consciousness, so you can learn a lesson, so that you can eventually find love. So everything's paradoxical, because you need to actually go through this dualistic way of thinking in order to realize non-duality. Okay, because this is why everything happens for a reason. It's all happening exactly how it should be. Okay, so there's no right or wrong with this either. A lot of the spiritual communities will be like, well, you need to use love, you need to stop war, and there's all these protests to try and stop war, and then there's all these people fighting, and then there's all these arguments, etc. These are all still part of the dualistic way of thinking. So you need to remove yourself from that. That's the first thing you need to do. Realize everything's happening the way it should be. There is no right or wrong. There is no good or bad. Everything just is, and everything that happens isn't good or bad, okay, or is good and bad. As long as you realize one of those two things, this will really help your mental health. And realize if something bad happens to you, that there will be a good reason it's happening to you. And if you really investigate yourself in your own mind, you'll find the good in everything. Okay, everything. Somebody who doesn't understand this will say things like, well, what's good about a plane going down killing 200 people? Okay, well, there is goods to that as well, which goes a little bit more deep. But one of the goods to that is that you now appreciate every time your plane lands and you don't get killed. Okay, you now appreciate your life more because you were not one of those people. You see, so there's always a good and a bad to every situation. As long as you remember that, you can then start looking at your own mental health, whatever's causing your anxiety. Okay, first of all, put yourself in the present moment. Realize that what you're anxious about or what you're worrying about may probably not even happen, but even if it does happen, then you can remember the fact that whatever happens has a good and a bad. Find the good in what's happened, focus on that, and then eventually you're only left with love if you keep doing this. If you keep doing this, you can only love, because what you'll find is you'll be out places, totally in the moment, totally free from all your mental health conditions, just totally enjoying the present moment in your own peace. And then somebody next to you will be talking about the news, arguing about somebody, talking about somebody being negative to them, okay, and you'll kind of, at first you'll kind of feel sorry for them because you'll think, well, they're stuck in this polarity, this trap of duality. They're stuck in this trap. They're believing everything on the news. They're getting caught up. They're getting anxious, which is taking up all their life energy. You'll feel sorry for them at first, but as time goes on and you start to realize this more, eventually the only thing left is to love them and accept them for who they are, and realize they're on the same journey as you were once on. And eventually everybody will wake up to the fact that non-duality is the way to go when it comes to mental health. They'll realize from the bigger picture, from the holistic view, that everything is happening the way it should be. They'll stop trying so hard to create all these positives in the life, okay, and stop trying so hard to avoid all these negatives, because the more you try, the more it happens, which is another paradox, guys. This is just how the universe works, okay, and this is why we're here. We're here to eventually learn love, because love is on the ladder of evolution, and everybody eventually gets to love, okay, and the only way we find love is by going through this dualistic way of thinking and then bringing ourselves back to the center, which is pure love, which is what people refer to as God or Christ consciousness. And yeah, so it's just a quick video to kind of remind you guys, if you're suffering with mental health, this is the pinnacle of all mental health conditions in the world, okay. It's that dualistic way of thinking. So I would advise, remember this, guys. Next time you get anxious about something, next time something so-called bad happens to you, remember that everything has a good and a bad to it. Find the good of it, focus on that, and go from there, guys. And from my experience so far, guys, I think that that's why we're here. I think that's why we're here in this reality, to find ourselves, which is pure love, okay. This is why everybody who has a near-death experience always comes back and reports it as feeling pure, unconditional love, because that's all there is before we create the positive and the negative with our consciousness. And I think we're here to kind of merge the positive and negative back to love, okay. And once we do that, we start to open up new levels of consciousness that we weren't aware of before, because of that free energy that was taken up by the negativity and by all the trauma and everything in our lives. Once we release that, we've then got the energy to find new realities where we can actually enjoy life to the fullest, and then take this knowledge, take this energy into the next existence when we pass over, because energy can only be transferred, it cannot be destroyed. So that's it for this video, guys. Hope you got something from that. If you've got any comments about this, please leave a comment. I'll be happy to hear your experience with this. And yeah, see you guys in the next video. Have a nice day.